Folks, welcome into sportsbookreview.com. It's time to talk some Major League Baseball here on a Thursday. Action-packed with games already underway. So I'm going to go to you here first, Jason. Tampa Bay, Chicago. What do we have on the live docket today?
Yep, already won the Rays in the first five, minus 25 at around minus 115. Got that one going. Just finished, actually. And then the Nationals, I do have the over 4.5 on the team total. Just saw back-to-back blasts from Bell and Schwarber to get 2 runs there in the first inning. So some good results early, but still early, and we need all 5 before I'm going to get excited. So lots of early baseball, lots of fun baseball, smaller slate. It's a good day today.
Smaller slate, smaller show. One guy's missing today on the COVID IL, not because he has COVID, but because he got his second shot and is down for the count today. So Kyle certainly will join us tomorrow on Friday if he is up, able, and ready. But that's what happens when you turn into an old man here, Jason. Look, for me, myself, I got the second shot. I was fine. I was here on the show. Hey, look, I'm not going to say I'm a better man than another guy here not on the show today, but it is what it is. He's probably watching in the background, having some fun. But thank you guys for joining us here on the Thursday. We'll get to each and every game on the card and certainly update some of these games that are live. 86,000 subscribers have already hit that subscribe button here for us at sportsbookreview.com. Thank you guys for doing that. If you haven't done so yet, hit that subscribe button. Turn your notification bell on, because when we talk Major League Baseball and go live, you'll get it delivered directly to your inbox. Everybody out here firing away in the chat box, having some fun already. So why don't we get started on some of these live games sitting right now? On my card today, the first 2 games that I was looking at, Tampa Bay team total, I had that circled. Already 6 runs here in the top of the 6th inning. But also looking once again at the Texas team total, which they got no hit last night. And I did lose one of my value menu wagers on that. But today, 0-0 still between the Yankees and the Texas Rangers. That is in the 2nd inning. And also one of the games here, that's a YouTube game, so not on my TVs. But if you're watching on another YouTube channel right now, you can get the Giants and the Reds. Why you would be getting that game right now? 10-1, I don't know. But here we go. A football number, Jason. You can get plus 8.5 on the Reds right now. Does that interest you?
Yeah, probably will get a lot of runs in this game. Look, the Giants probably going to end up benching their rest of their players, right? And that's when you get most of the bench guys in and whatnot. And I still thought that the Reds have a solid lineup, and we'll see if even they'll keep their players in. But I do think we'll see runs across the board going through this game. The pitchers that will be in the game won't be good pitchers. Will be the back end guy, or the front end guys, really. So look, there's other games to bet on at this point. I wouldn't. Yeah. It's a 10-1 game. It'd be kind of ridiculous to bet it. But yeah, I think there will be runs in this game. Probably more from the Reds moving forward.
Not too often do you see this right here. 10-1 San Francisco. So, yeah, they're hanging a team total here. It's 12 minus 113, which I actually don't think is that bad. They're in the top of the 5th inning from what I'm showing here. Let me just bring this up because I do have a couple monitors up here for YouTube. I just want to make sure I'm getting the same look here. So it's top of the 5th inning, 1 out, nobody on for the San Francisco Giants. And if they have a team total of 12, why wouldn't they actually hit that, though? Do you know what I mean? Like, why wouldn't that be? Let's just say, so you got 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th. You basically have 5 full at-bats here to go to get 2 runs for a push and a man already on second base. You know what? I'm going to go right
on first and second.
Is there a guy on first and second now? So I'm going to go and put a little bit of suspended the wager here. I'm glad we have some extra time here. Was there? All right, let's see what we got here. So let me just see if I can update. You see, that's the problem with trying to lie. Oh, there we go. I just saw it now on YouTube. So YouTube obviously going to be a little bit farther behind. But let me see if I can actually log in and get this one here and see what a new line's going to pop up right now. Casali looks like he got hit, and they're checking him out here, which is good because that gives us extra time here to try to see what's what. I'm going to go ahead and make this wager to see if they take it in over 12, which is unbelievable.
That's not bad. But think about this. Cueto is going to be up.
So they took.
Cueto is going to be uphill, sack bunt, get those 2 guys over with 1 out. Perfect. You got 12 runs. It's a great look if you're able to get it, of course.
I know. They just kicked me right back out and said I can't make that wager. So it's locked across the board here. But I'm going to stay with that for just a few moments, and we'll talk about some of the intricacies that go in, because you bring up a good point. But also, when you take a look, it's only 2 runs. They have 5 at-bats to get it. Major League Baseball players are not just going to strike out to get the game over sooner. They're paid by how they hit, what their batting average is. But also, is this one of those games where we joke about, Jason, where you have a position player that's going to come in for Cincinnati in the 7th, 8th, or 9th and automatically give up a couple runs anyway here?
Yeah, it's totally possible.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting to see if managers end up doing that now, or respecting the game or
The
whatever.
Roots,
Uh,
yeah.
yeah, it's gonna be really interesting to see what goes down with these managers, and if they end up putting position players as pitchers, and if guys are out to swing the bat with pitchers with batters pitching. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see if that's the case in this one. I'm not sure if the Reds have done that before, but with a 10-1 game, I think you'd want to hold on to your pitchers and a go position player if you're able to.
An interesting part here. I'm watching live on the game and not squaring around the bunt Cueto. So he takes 2 strikes here, which I don't know what they're actually trying to. Is that is that disrespectful too now, where you can't?
Yeah, that might be what just happened. Yeah.
Never understand these rules. Now, also coming back on over under in this game is 16 as a live number. And now I'm taking a look here at the away. It's 12.5 now, which, again, it's nice to talk about and try to go through some of these processes as they're working out live and see what's in our brains and what we think about. Because did you see how what probably should have happened there, Jason? You were right. The perfect scenario, first and second, it wasn't even a batter coming up to plate. It was the pitcher. Move him over to second and third. If you could have got down on that 12, a base hit gets you that push with 6, 7, 8, and 9, 4 more at bats to go. But even if they only got 1 productive out, you still got to run out of that. They did take it off the board, obviously, so it's back to 12.5, a little bit higher. But you would have liked to seen a bunt. Instead, you got a strikeout. So again, the double play ball is still going to be in order as well. But you do have the top of the lineup, as I see Yastrzemski at the plate. I'm going to keep an eye on to see what he actually does here, because the 12.5 and stuff still makes a lot of sense to take. Because again, I think put it this way, you're not getting the best bullpen on either side, Jason, in this game.
No, you might get a position player on both sides as well. So, yeah, I guess it might just be that they didn't bunt because they wanted to respect the rules, the unwritten rules of baseball, and that might be what just happened. But in a perfect world, that's what would happen. And I'm glad we were able to kind of break it down and show you guys, why you would take that 12 in this scenario with a pitcher up, 2 guys on, you bunt, you get that 12, and now you have a push through, 3-4 innings. So I'm glad we showed you guys that. Of course, couldn't get the wager in, and Cueto didn't sack bunt because the score is too high. But we have seen comebacks before of 8-9 runs, so I don't understand that one.
Yeah, big comeback yesterday in that Tampa Bay Baltimore Orioles game as well, and certainly getting some runs back in this one. Also want to bring the game up, Jason, that you're on as well here, watching live Washington and Chicago 2-0. We were watching as the double play happened in the first inning, but then you got 2 solo home runs behind it. Picks up your spirits a little bit here. I put out a tweet earlier today. Wind is blowing directly out at Wrigley today. You saw that in the first inning here. Tell the people what you're on and why you thought that made sense here in this game.
Yeah, I'm on the Nats over 4.5 on the team total. You're going to have 9 at-bats. They're on the road. Of course, Donnie talked about the wind blowing out, lots of power. And Williams, he's been awful really against lefties and righties this season. Lefties have a 431 weighted OBA. Righties 333 weighted OBA. ISO power numbers are nearing 200 on each side. And he has low strikeouts to lefties and high walks to lefties as well. Now you have Soto back in the lineup, Schwarber, Bell. Those lefties, those are the guys that hit the homers. Obviously, Soto hit a homer yesterday. Seems like he's kind of getting back on track. The other lefties in the lineup, just like Schwarber and Bill, you expected them to be guys that could hit for power, especially with the wind going out, and they did just that. So things are looking good. Wish there were guys on base, especially for Bell there, because Turner did walk and got on base there. So, but either way, we got 2 runs in the first inning. Just need 3 more now to cash that team total ticket. But I do think over for both sides. So. I know people are going to be looking at the Cubs now as a live team total option. If they start to struggle early, Joe Ross is on the mound. He's also struggled this season, as has Trevor Williams. So this is an over game written all over it. I just like the Nats and their bats and more, especially with Rizzo being hurt for the Cubs. The Nationals just looked better as a team option for this game.
Yeah, gotcha. And still keeping an eye on here with first and second, 3-2 count now to Yastrzemski at the plate. So if he is able to get on base and just keep that train moving along, even if and it looks like it goes, I'm going to assume he probably walks. I'm showing a 13.5 at plus 100 now at FanDuel, and he did walk. So Let's see what we got here. Who comes up after Yastrzemski? Let me just take a look at their order.
It's going to be Ruff.
Here. Is it? Oh,
Ruff,
he's a strikeout machine.
But then Crawford.
Yeah, let me see what we got here. So let's scroll it down and see if we can put some pieces together in this first game, because the one guy, Ruff, is usually the bane of my existence, even though I believe he has a home run already in this game. You're taking a look at Ruff here versus right-handed pitching, strikes out 48% of the time, which is hard because if you're trying to equate it right now, Jason, we take a look at this live line, 13.5 plus 100. It still makes a lot of sense. But I would much rather have it for a contact batter to at least put in play. Not to say he can't hit a home run, not to say he can't work a walk or even get a base hit. It's just scary that the one guy in the lineup that strikes out way more than everybody else is currently up at the plate right now. So we'll watch how that plays out. It's 13 minus 136. I still think that's a doable number, but with Ruff at the plate, makes it a little interesting here. So we'll see how it goes. First pitch is a strike. Let's keep moving down. And why don't we get into some of the games as we watch these play out live across the board, just to keep you guys updated. 10-1 here, San Francisco, Cincinnati, Tampa Bay, and Baltimore. 6-1 Tampa Bay, 0-0 in the Yankees and the Texas Rangers game. So maybe we look a little bit later in that game until somebody actually does some scoring here. In Washington and Chicago, as we said here, bottom of the first inning, 1 on, 2 out. And we do have 2-0 lead in this one. And just keep an eye on Darren Ruff swings through another pitch to make it 0-2. And also the Yankees here, Jason, 2 men on and nobody out here in the third inning with Dunning on the mound. Let me just take a look. This number is locked. But when that opens it up, that'll be interesting. And talking about that game, Jason, any feel, because it looks like we have now numbers over 3 for the Yankees in the third inning. And maybe a bunting opportunity here where it looks like Wade, the 9-hole, to get him over to third. That's not a bad look here right now.
Yeah, look, you're approaching the top of the order with Wade. And if Wade is able to, of course, stack bunt the 2 guys over, you're at the top of the order. 1 single, you get 2 runs home. And 1 home run, that's 3. If you get an extra base, you get another guy on second base as well. So, yeah, that's a great look for the Yankees. They're also on the road, but looks like Wade can't get the bunt down. So there's that. Because situational hitting... It's just amazing, man. Yeah, it's just not in the game this year. That's the problem. That's why we have all these no-hitters. Situational hitting in the gaps, hitting down the line. Of course, the shift has helped pitchers a little bit, but, I mean, hitters are also striking out, so they're not giving themselves an opportunity to score runs in the first place. So, yeah, it looks like Wade is going to struggle to get the bunt down. On the other hand, you have Ruff. He's now worked the count to 2-2, so we'll see what he can do there. Wade just struck out, so that's done there. He couldn't get runners over with bunting. So lots of action. This has been exciting. We'll see if Ruff's able to. Oh, it looks like there was a pass.
I'm watching. There was a pass ball, so they bailed out a little bit and got one across. And now you have second and third, which the good part about that as well is there's no double play ball. That will be in order if he does get a base hit in this instance. But what a shame, because you were looking at that 3 number with juice for the New York Yankees. If they turn around and bunt that over to third base, that would have been fantastic. That's exactly what you wanted. But as you said again, how many times have we seen like, hey, the 9-hole batter is up, which is the equivalent. It's obviously it's a real batter, so it's better than the pitcher. But you're in the 9-hole because you suck. Drop down a bunt. Like, that's your only job here, to move the runners over, and they couldn't actually do that, which is fascinating to watch. But now in the Yankees game, over 2.5 for the Rangers, Jason, over 3 at light juice at minus 108 here for the New York Yankees, still with 2 runners on here in the third inning with DJ LeMahieu at the plate, which is exactly who you probably would have wanted up with second and third and 1 out. So we'll see how this at bat plays out. Looks like LeMahieu is down to an 0-2 count in this situation as we move on. Why don't we get down? Because, again, I have my eyes on all these screens and monitors. If they change, some numbers come up, we'll interrupt the process immediately right away. But let's get into some of the marquee games. The reason I brought one of the first ones up here for us, and we'll go Miami and the Philadelphia Phillies here first. 9:05, 9:06. Alcantara versus Velasquez on the mound today in Philadelphia, minus 120. Phillies let one slip away yesterday. 8s across the board. Usually we look at this game as Vinny Velasquez being a tomato can on the mound, can't get anybody out. He's been decent in his last few starts. Alcantara, to me, the better pitcher in this game, and not a full-go Phillies lineup just yet, unless we see if Real Muto enters back into the lineup today. Any thoughts on this game between the Phillies and the Marlins here, Jason?
So I'll just go back to the Yankees quickly. They just hit into a double play with some bad base running.
5 of them last night, Jason. 5 double plays for the Yanks last night. Go ahead. Yeah.
That's just how baseball is right now. Poor base running, poor situational hitting. Forget it, man. The Yankees just hit themselves out of an inning where they had a lot of opportunities. So good job on you guys, Yankees. Anyway, back to the Marlins-Phillies game. Yeah, Velasquez, he's been really good recently. Somehow he's been able to kind of limit the runs. Alcantara or Alcantara, however you want to say it, has also been really good. He's allowed, well, he struggled in his last outing, but before that, he was terrific. I think he bounces back going into this game. Does have a high ISO to lefties at 212. You look at the Phillies lineup, there's really not much there outside of Harper. So Harper, really the only guy that you're really worried about in that Phillies lineup. The rest of the lefties, really nothing much there. The righties don't really hit righties too well. On the Phillies, it really comes down to Harper. And if he can get out Harper and he can work around Harper, the Marlins look in really good shape. Now, I like the Marlins. I got them at plus 100 in the first 5. I'm seeing anywhere from like minus 120, minus 130 now. I still agree with it. Obviously, not as much value there as plus 100. But I do like Aguilar. I think he's a big bat in the lineup against Velasquez. Duvall, another big bat against Velasquez. Both of these pitchers are really home run prone. So I do think Aguilar and Duvall are the two guys that can kind of do damage and get that RBI. If the guy's on a base or not, they can hit an extra base hit or a home run. And I think that'll be the difference of the game. So I am on the Marlins plus 100 in the first 5. I think that they can get the job done in a bounce back outing from Sandy there.
Yeah, not bad here for Alcantara. 3.74 xFIP, 385 Sierra, and also some of these other numbers that we like to look at here, some advanced analytics. And did I just see another? Did Crawford just hit a home run, 3-run blast? Wow. So there was that number. It didn't matter what you got it at. It's now 14-1 in San Francisco. That was a 2-out hit because Darren Ruff had lined out to the third baseman. Getting back to Alcantara here, xFIP minus at a 92. And if you don't know how that actually makes sense here, that is a pitcher that's looking at both leagues and also ballpark eccentric. That means it matters where you pitch, where if your ERA stinks in Colorado, it's supposed to stink in Colorado. If your ERA is great at Oracle Park in San Francisco, it's supposed to be great. 100 is the even level playing field on that statistic. So anything above 100, that's a really bad pitcher because he's getting lit up. Anything below, so if we take a look, anything below 100, that's very good and better average. Alcantara in that number here, Jason, is a 92. If we look at Vince Velasquez, he's a 105. So he's slightly above average at giving up runs, ballpark centric, even though he does play in Philadelphia. So to me, looking at this game overall, I don't like the bats really on either side, but I do think Alcantara is a better pitcher. And did you say that you were looking first 5 in this game, not full game?
Yeah, we're going first 5. I do think the Marlins bullpen could probably hold it down. I won't take that risk. I think the Marlins score a couple runs early, and as we're seeing in the chat, Rara's got it 4-1 when starting against Philadelphia with an ERA of 2.82 and a WHIP of 1.38 there. So yeah, I like the Marlins here. I think that they'll get the job done in the first 5, and don't have to worry about the full game. And because both these bullpens can definitely ruin a bet.
Yeah, they can. No, and it almost went right down to the end, almost a 3-run blast in the 9th inning to give the Phillies a win. Ends up right at the wall where the center field has to jump up against the wall and make a play. It happens, but you're right. And never leave anything in doubt with these bullpens out here. Doubleheader we're going to go over here really quickly. Minnesota and Los Angeles in both games. 4:07 East Coast first pitch for the first game. 7:07 East Coast first pitch for the second game. Thorpe versus Cobb. Barrios versus Canning in these. We usually don't go over these all that much. And to be quite honest, the reason why it's up on the marquee yesterday, Jason, because I wasn't paying attention and seeing it was a doubleheader, so I wanted to pick out a Barrios start with Minnesota. Any thoughts on this, on either way it could go here? But we know it's tough betting doubleheaders. I haven't even bet a doubleheader yet this year.
Yeah, I'm not betting any doubleheaders. The Thorpe-Cobb game seems like an over game. If you look at Cobb, his batting average of balls in play, 431. You could say that might regress, or you can say that he's just getting absolutely rocked, getting hit hard, and that's that. So I think I would side with the Twins here. Again, it's hard to side with the Twins in any game right now in the season, but that's what I would side with. And then if you want to go to the second game, Barrios against Canning, both Barrios, he's been probably the better pitcher this year. Canning allowing 2 home runs per 9 innings. That's pretty ridiculous. And also ground balls just at 33%. So I do like Barrios more in this spot. Again, I can't tell you to go take the Twins right now. We're looking at the record. It's just atrocious. So not going to bet either of these games. I would side with the Twins on both in both games. But who knows if that'll actually happen. So I would stay away. I would lean towards the Twins in both games, though.
Advanced numbers actually are pretty good on two of these pitchers in this game. Alex Cobb is actually the best analytical pitcher on the card today. XFIP minus at a 65. Now, his ERA, you're right, is very high, 5.48 batting average. Yeah, but then you look at the XFIP, 2.64 with the Sierra, 3.26. So technically, he's just not getting a lot of help from defenders and a little bit of bad luck. But also, we take a look at Jose Barrios, who hasn't had the greatest year. His XFIP minus is an 83, and then an XFIP of 3.39. So at least some decent pitchers on the card out, pedigree pitcher so much. I like Barrios a little bit more. I think he's got a little bit more action. But Alex Cobb coming in at number 1 out of 23 eligible pitchers today. That'll be interesting to see how that one plays out. But as you know, doubleheaders, me and Jason talk about all the time. Not really interesting. It's a short card, so certainly we're going to go over and cover those. But let's take a look at another game yesterday, which you would have thought didn't have many runs because the wind was blowing in at 20 miles an hour. Not really the case. As we flip it over today, another of the same weather conditions, but the ball was jumping out of the yard last night. Boston and Toronto, 921, 922. Pivetta versus Mats. Over-under opens up at 10, Jason. Now sits at 9.5 in this game. And if we take a look from yesterday, just trying to get the final score, was 7-3. So 10 runs yesterday, right on that line. And the interesting part about yesterday with the 10 is we saw the game open up at 10.5. Closed at 9.5, so obviously a 7-3 number falls right in between. Are we anticipating more runs tonight in this game? Because taking a look at both of these pitchers, just to set the table, Mats has a decent number on the season, 3.57 xFIP, 3.66 Sierra. He hasn't been that bad of a pitcher. And then we flip it over to the other side with Nick Pivetta, who is known from his Philadelphia Phillies days. Check out this, a 188 batting average against him, which is very good. A whip of 1.17, which isn't bad. But when you take a look at some of the advanced numbers here, he's got a 111 xFIP minus and also a 4.64 Sierra. So is he just getting lucky so far? And should the bats wake up for Toronto today?
Yeah, I agree. Like the under 5.5, like that's such a high number for two pitchers that, match up pretty well against these batters. If you look at Pivetta, for example, he's been worse against lefties, 309 weighted OBA and just a 247 weighted OBA to the righties. Well, you look at that Blue Jays lineup, it's going to be mainly righties outside of Biggio and Tellez, and the rest will be righties. And Pivetta should be able to work out a damage and not allow too many runs. Then you go the other side, you go to Steven Matz. His against lefties, weighted OBA is 308, ISO 136. Righties a little bit worse, 175 ISO, but hasn't been terrible. Strikeouts are high, walks are low enough for Matz. And really, the only guys that are hitting lefties in the lineup for the Red Sox would be Bogarts and even Dalbec. Martinez has kind of struggled a little bit, kind of dipping a little bit against lefties as the season progresses. So really, there's only two batters from each side that can really do a lot of damage in either of these lineups versus these pitchers. I like the under 5.5. I get the weather. I know we're out in Florida. I know it's more of a pain game, but under 5.5 seems like the play with these two pitchers on the mound against the lineups that they're facing.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense here because just flipping down to the actual lineups that are anticipated tonight, I don't know if they're official yet. I don't have an official lineup for Toronto or for Boston. But every time I look at that Toronto lineup, I like it. But there's one guy missing where you want to see it full tilt with George Springer in that one hole. So it'll be like Springer, Simeon, Bichette, Guerrero, Teoscar Hernandez, Grichuk, Biggio. That is a damaging lineup that can get some stuff done tonight. But it is an interesting look tonight down in Dunedin to see if that ball does travel. But again, we're seeing a downshift in the total once again. Yesterday, 7-3. They got out hot in that game, so barely got over that number. But if he got in early and took the over 10.5, didn't work out all that well for you here on that side of it. So let's take a look at some of the other games that are here on the board as we look at the value menu wagers here. I have one game on my card here today. One's a value menu wager, which we're going to give out right now, and then one is also going to be a best bet and banker. Took it already at BetMGM, and I'm going to go right to that Atlanta Braves-Pittsburgh Pirates series here, Jason. I'm not a huge total backer in games for the game itself. I usually like to focus on team totals, but I had a hard time passing this one up. I'm going to take my value menu wager today on the over in the game between the Atlanta Braves and the Pittsburgh Pirates. BetMGM was 8.5 at -125. There are some 9s out there with lighter juice, but if both teams can get 4 runs, guarantee yourself a victory, and I don't see why not. So when I look at this game, and even from a Pittsburgh Pirates perspective, which they don't really have the greatest lineup, and sort of one of those games where sometime you want to get out and walk the dog, as we like to say, because it's painful. Some of their bats, some of their innings, they might go the first 3 innings, not even have a base run and say, what's going on here? But Frazier, Reynolds, Stallings, and Gonzalez should be able to hit tonight against Drew Smyly. Now, I do understand Smyly has had a good last 12 innings, but if you take a look at his overall numbers on the season, he's been absolutely horrendous. Jason, check out his xFIP minus, a 131, which is the worst on the card. He's had 2 home starts and got absolutely lit on fire in both of those. Warm weather down in Atlanta tonight. I think both of these teams hit, because if we even flip it over to the other side, which I'll talk about a little bit later, Will Crowe and his 520 xFIP going against his Braves lineup doesn't match up all that well. So I think we can get more than 9 runs in this game. Value on your menu tonight with some fast food, Jason. Who do you got?
Yeah, we just talked about the Red Sox-Blue Jays game. The Red Sox are underdogs in the first 5. I do think that the Red Sox are the better team, especially in the first 5. They do have those righties like Bogarts and Dalbec that could kind of take Matt Steep, who's, he's struggled keeping the ball in the yard throughout the last couple of seasons. So I do think the Red Sox win that first 5. What happens later in the game, I couldn't tell you, but I think the Red Sox at plus 110 in the first 5 is a good look there. And as underdogs, I think there's value there.
Yep, absolutely. 2-1 here in the Washington Nationals Chicago Cubs game. Bottom of the second inning, 1 out and 1 on here for the Cubs. 8-1 as I'm looking here between the Tampa Rays and the Baltimore Orioles. And let me just whip it around quickly. 14-1 still here as I'm watching the Cincinnati Reds game live. Nobody on base, 2 outs. So Cincinnati certainly not doing enough damage in this one. And nobody scoring yet in the Rangers game as we head to the 4th inning. So that series that started out quite hot seemed to calm down the bats on both of those sides here. And now let's get to best bets and bankers, Jason, on the Major League Baseball board today. Short card tonight. We're going to hit a couple more games as we move along. But again, I'm going to focus once again on the Pittsburgh Pirates and the Atlanta Braves, Jason, and also taking a look at some of the odds that you have out here on the market. Pittsburgh's team total here before the show was listed at 3.5 minus 102. I like that a little bit here, but what I like better, it's a little bit higher number and a little bit juicy here at BetMGM. The Atlanta Braves team total 4.5 is minus 130. They'll have at least 8 at-bats tonight. They should finally do some damage and wake up tonight, because sometimes you take a look at the advantages that the Braves have in their lineup. If they're facing a lefty, haven't hit him all that well, versus right-handed batters. And this is what I like the best here, Jason. Will Crowe has a 520 xFIP. Not a great pitcher here. And if we take a look overall at some of the numbers that we're looking at analytics-wise on Will Crowe, a 117 xFIP minus in this game, comes in with an ERA of 4.35, but more importantly here, an xFIP of 4.73 and a SIERA of almost 5, which is disastrous. Let's take a look also. If Will Crowe was walking guys tonight and putting traffic on the bases, do you want to know why? Look at the walk numbers here for the Atlanta Braves versus right-handed pitching. 13% for Acuna. Freeman, 17%. Ozuna, 10%. Albies, 10%. Riley, 14%. Swanson, a little bit lower at 7.2. But look at the 7 and 8 hole anticipated tonight with Contreras and Heredia. 16.7% and 14%. Weighted on base averages are elevated. ISO power numbers are elevated here. The Braves are going to hit tonight. We'll get to at least 5 runs, and I'm going to cash this best bet, which last night the Brewers should have went way over the 4, but ended up with a push. This one gets home tonight, Jason. Your best bets. What do you got on the card tonight, buddy?
Yeah, so already got that raise in the first 5, cashed that earlier today. Also on the Nationals, over 4.5 on the team total. So far they have 2 runs. My last bet, the night slate, I got the Marlins at plus 100 in the first 5. Of course, you know, depending on what books you guys have, that number might be a little bit different. But if you want to, risk not getting a push, you can take the minus 0.5 and definitely get that plus money for the Marlins here. And I do think the Marlins will win that first 5. And that's the one bet I have tonight going. Hopefully we can cash that one too.
There you go. So best bets and bankers here across the board. Let's get to the odds lightning round. Bring the thunder and the lightning as we round out this card. 337 here as a first pitch between Houston and Oakland. Jason, one of the pitchers I seem to struggle with this year. Houston should be able to light up Cole Irvin in this game. Tell me why it's going to happen here, or tell me why it won't happen, because I know his numbers do look decent. He doesn't have a great strikeout pitch. He doesn't have a wipeout slider. He doesn't have an overpowering fastball. We're going to load right-handed batters up for Houston today. They got to be able to hit this guy.
Yeah, guys like Alvarez, 214 ISO and 378 weighted OBA against lefties. He's the one guy that really should be the guy that does damage. If you can get runners on base, that will be what he'll get some runners in. But then on the other hand, you have Garcia.
Yeah.
He's got a 4.95 xFIP, not too great. Strikeouts are high, but the walks are also high to righties. There's a lot of righties in that Oakland lineup as well. Lots of guys that walk. Yeah, I think it's going to be an over game, over 8.5. Looks like the play. I can't even pick a side at this point. I think both pitchers could be in for, allowing 3 runs in 5 inning type performances. And then you get those final extra runs in the final, 4 innings of the game. And you get the over there. So I do like the over in this matchup between Garcia and Irvin. Both of them, kind of have done better than I think that they should have so far this season. And you might see some regression here today.
There you go. Yeah, as I look at that game and he's saying, like, how do you get a feel? You don't want to not jump into games because a pitcher has burned you. And I say to myself, like, how the hell is Cole Irvin getting guys out? I look at that Houston lineup. They should be able to hit today. And I do think Houston is the better end of it here going up against, Garcia's an average pitcher to begin with anyway, but it's a light favorite, -113. I think Houston should be able to get the job done on that card today. Let's get the last game of the night, which it looks like it's Kelly. I have undecided for the Los Angeles Dodgers listed as a pitcher right now, but sometimes we just look at that and be like, Merrill Kelly should get roped in this game, so it almost doesn't matter who is pitching for the Dodgers. Is that the game plan?
Yeah, probably. Kelly. We thought that Kelly was supposed to pitch the last 2 nights.
Yeah, what's he doing? Damn.
That tells you everything you need to know about Kelly. They don't want to pitch him. They don't want to pitch him because they know what's about to happen. So, the Dodgers against a righty, especially against Kelly, a guy who doesn't really strike out many batters. Batting average of balls in play, 307, 66% left on base. The average around MLB is around 70%. Ground ball rate below 45%. The Dodgers should be able to hit Kelly and hit him hard. And the Dodgers offense starting to kind of come around and look a little bit like the Dodgers offense that we expected.
There you go. And so we wrap it up here. Nice little half-hour show, clearing the bases today, going over some value menu plays and also our best bets and bankers. I'm focused on one game tonight. I got a wedding to go to, so my watch will be buzzing, hopefully with a lot of runs. Value menu wager tonight is going to come from that Pittsburgh Pirates-Atlanta Braves game for me, going over the 8.5 at -125. And also my best bet and banker tonight. Braves going to hit tonight. I don't want to miss this train. I think it should be done by 5 innings tonight for the Braves, getting to their 5 runs and cashing that best bet and banker for me. Jason, talk to me. What do you got tonight to wrap it up and give a nice little bow on this show?
Yep, we're on the Marlins, +100 in the first 5. If you want to take that -0.5 in the first 5, they'll get it out around +125 or something. It seems like really good value there against Velasquez, who I think should be struggling more than he has so far.
There you go. So we'll wrap it up. Nice, quick, clean, and easy. Kyle will be back on the show on Friday. Thank you guys for joining us here on a Thursday afternoon, talking some Major League Baseball. Got some winners on deck for sure tonight. I'm Donnie Seymour. He's Jason Radowitz. We are sportsbookreview.com, and this was your Major League Baseball show for Thursday. Good luck on those wagers tonight.